Hi, good morning. How are you today? Are you okay? Yes? We're glad to be here from sunny Puerto Rico after a devastated hurricane passed through our island, Hurricane Maria. So I am a survivor. So I'm glad to be here, and let's move on with this Unreachables presentation. We should use this one. Okay, it's important to say that in 2015, OMG decided to go after millennials and Generation Xers. We wanted to take a deeper look at what is going on in terms of consumption and media consumption for millennials and Gen Xers. I will call it MGXers, taking into consideration millennials and Generation Xers. So for today, I'm going to use that term. It's also relevant to say that in 2016, Nielsen reported that millennials were using more mobile smartphones than TV. And also, during the last 6 years, between 2011 and 2016, TV went down 30%, which is very relevant because we see that this new generation is more engaged with digital content. It's also relevant to say, and you see how Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and other platforms of streaming video is growing very fast among MGXers. But the media landscape is changing very fast, and it's going to be changing as we speak. And you can see today many of the presentations how important it is to be abreast of the changes. So this new reality brings us to this study, and let's see a little video about it.
For a marketer to not have solid measurement that they can count on, trust, and have it be consistently captured is very difficult to justify getting bigger budgets. The days where I can splash it out there and try to measure some of it, the expectations just changed.
There's got to be a way that brands can storytell, that they can get their message across, that they can reach the right people effectively in a world of digital.
A lot of it is intuition for us as well, and I think for a lot of companies our size as well. Do I wish there'd be perfect data tracking for every campaign we did? Of course, but the fact that there may not be doesn't prevent us from doing something if we feel that it could be the right fit for us.
So many people believe that they are unreachable, but in fact, they actually are very reachable and not as elusive as conventional wisdom would have it.
It forces us to take a far more responsible role in how we're providing those communications, the value of them, the interest of the relevancy.
I think agencies and clients have to kind of step in and force the measurement providers to really go in this direction and tell them we must have mobile, we must have OTT. We need to start understanding these really important pieces of our consumers' media journey.
Yes, the market keeps changing, as I said, and taking a look, we'll see that 100% of MGXers are basically using smartphones as their content device, and they own and use not only smartphones, but also laptops, and they use, of course, traditional media. But they are very busy with social media. As you see, 81%. They are very engaged with social media. Streaming video is growing very fast. And this study gives us a deep understanding on how this behavior is totally changing. But for today, I wanted just to compare a little bit of our data in Chile versus the United States, because we, Heart and Science, decided to go after the Chilean market and also do the same study to understand what are the major areas of interest for our clients and opportunities for us to deliver more data to engage with our new campaigns and efforts. When we take a look at the hours consumed or resulting in consumption of 30 hours in the States of video content during a typical week, it's amazing how you see that 15 hours of those were streaming video, streaming content across devices. And only 1/3 is currently measured by today's TV currency of measurements. Half of those hours are streaming content across all devices, which make it very harder for clients and agencies to understand how to really connect to those audiences across. But how it looks and how it compares to Chile, where in Chile, only 18 hours of video consumption across a typical week is still 13 hours of those streaming content, and only 1/3 of this is being measured by the currencies of today measurement companies. Interesting that Chile is only 18 hours versus 30 hours in the States. I was expecting more, but it's interesting the comparison when you go to the details across the different countries. Interesting also to mention 66% of those weekly hours in the States and 78% of those are measured by syndicated platforms. And certainly, I am a former Nielsen employee before I came to Arts and Science. Companies are doing a lot of work to understand how to really tap into those changes very quick, but still they are not doing it right. Unreachables for us are the MJXers who consume 0 hours of TV content on traditional TV platforms. And certainly our new generations, MXXers, are not necessarily actively engaged with the TV, although it's very important for their day-to-day as well. When we take a look at those that are unreachables, as we call it, 47% of those are among the US analysis of the study, but in Chile, 11% were unreachables throughout the measurements that we know, like Nielsen, for example. Actually, people say that they are unreachable, but as we hear this morning, probably in other presentations, and in this particular presentation, we feel that they are reachable because you can find them streaming video, you can find them using apps to reach out for the content, and probably they like to use the mobile because it's less expensive than paying for a cable TV provider. So many people are using their device all the day just to get access to the content they want, wherever they want it. When we take a look at the smartphones and these MJXers, let's see that it's very relevant to see that 61% of these generations are always using the smartphones to navigate and get access to the content. Smartphones have become a very valuable instrument for this generation. That's why it's so important for clients to take a step back and understand that not necessarily one message, one campaign will really do it. You have to probably do several messages, several campaigns, several executions to really get connected to this new pattern of behavior. It's interesting during this study to see that respondents spent 18 hours per week consuming content via TV, what we call TV with antenna, cable satellite, OTT, or smart TV apps, but spend 33 hours on average consuming content via the smartphone, means 21 hours are spent via mobile apps and 12 hours via mobile browsers. But 73% of respondents typically watch streaming video, while less than half, 43%, typically watch live TV, and 1/4 watching time-shifted TV DVRs, for example. When we take a look at streaming video behavior, kind of slow. Okay. We can see that 73% are engaged streaming video. As we see before, 7 in 10 are typically engaged with this particular device and they are also, as you will see now, connecting to more hours from those streaming video content than live TV. So it's a challenge for any media company or agency or client just to understand that TV is no longer the only media to deliver your message. And you have to take into consideration that we have multiple other devices, how you really use them and integrate them to your campaign, which is particularly the best or the real concern that we can have. Interesting to mention, last week, Nielsen announced that they will finally found a way, they did, that's what they say, to produce the data on audience for Netflix. We will have to see if Netflix is so happy or not, because they control their content and they will be not that happy to probably collaborate with the Nielsen initiative. But certainly Netflix is doing very well, and this particular series is doing very well as well, and we all know that it's growing a lot. How many of you have Netflix, for example? Oh, so it's doing very well. Let's see what Nielsen is going to say about the audience on Netflix. And then MJXers find ads on TV more acceptable than in digital devices, but certainly native ads are growing in popularity. And well, current media measurements probably are not that reliable because they are not measuring all those new behaviors for these new generations. And now what? Well, we can say that certainly current measurements predates modern media consumption. Therefore, they are not delivering on the new needs of the market. Second, streaming video is becoming the life of MJXers and the Unreachables. It is flexible and convenient, and it's also replacing the TV, which is certainly a great concern. And for this generation, it's completely normal to navigate across devices, anytime, anywhere. So you don't have to take apart TV or digital. You have to combine the day-to-day life of an MJXer, the cell phone, the TV, the radio, the streaming video, and how you can engage with them in a better way for your campaigns and your efforts. Therefore, it's not only digital. It's how you use digital along with the other media content providers. And that takes us to brand safety throughout the study, and I'm just trying to present to you a little summary of it. If you want more information, you can connect with us at the end. But brand safety is now more important than ever for clients and brands and media as well. In our study, we found that certainly MJXers are unsure if the brands are responsible for the unsafe content. And more importantly, 64% understand the brand's reputation could be at risk because they do not know exactly if you are really sponsoring that content or not, which makes it harder for companies and brands to really control. And that's why we are asking media companies to be more precise in the way they control the content and the environment where our brands are buying. For example, P&G, one of our clients, is very concerned about the brand safety, and we have taken the steps necessary to provide and ask these vendors to do the necessary processes before we go back and buy, because controlling that environment will help a lot our brands to be in a safe and controlled space. And for more information, as I said before, you can contact us at the end of the presentation, but now I want to ask our panelists for today to join me as we want to talk a little bit about our next topic. It's not only brand safety, but it's also measurement tools and effectiveness, what data should trust, and how brands should use data effectively, tackling transparency and not fraud, embracing, learning, and tapping into the industry's biggest issues across the use of data.
Okay, so I would like to thank Andres. Thank you very much for that. The panel is definitely going to happen. I think as soon as the other guys are liberated, then we can rewind and capture where you left off.